are inside those two breakaway areas in eastern Ukraine. Russian tanks, as well as motorized vehicles, armored vehicles, have been on Russian social media now confirmed that they are in those two regions that Vladimir Putin recognized as independent yesterday. It's not clear whether these forces could be part of a larger attack still to come. President Putin gave pretty much of a history lesson yesterday, an hour-long one on Russian state television, basically saying that Ukraine was not a real country, that it was a creation of communist Russia. He said the biggest mistake that was made in the past was allowing the USSR to break up. Here's Putin.
To give the republics the right to secede from a single state without any conditions, at first glance, this is generally incomprehensible, some kind of madness.
As far as Ukraine's President Zelensky goes, there are real concerns for his personal safety. U.S. officials have said the Russians have a list targeting Ukrainian politicians, either to capture or kill them. Russia has denied the existence of such a list. Zelensky has said that Ukraine will defend itself. Here's the president of Ukraine.
We are on our land. We are not afraid of anything or anyone. We don't owe anything to anyone. We won't give away anything to anyone. We are confident in this. It is not February 2014, but February 2022.
Now, the U.S. Embassy here in Ukraine has already had to move once from Kyiv to Lviv to try and get out of the path of a possible Russian invasion. Now it's had to move again out of the country entirely to Poland. Guys, back to you.
All right, Steve Harrigan live for us this morning. Steve, thank you. Griff Jenkins is live in Washington as we await new sanctions from the White House. Griff.
Good morning, Todd and Carly. Last night at an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council, U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, denouncing Putin's actions. Watch.
He calls them peacekeepers. This is nonsense. We know what they really are. It is an attack on Ukraine's status as a UN member state. It violates a basic principle of international law, and it defies our charter.
Across the Atlantic, allies like British Prime Minister Boris Johnson echoing Greenfield's condemnation.
Russia is recognizing the breakaway republics of Donetsk and Lugansk. This is plainly in breach of international law, flagrant violation of the sovereignty and integrity of Ukraine.
This as President Biden imposes sanctions on the two separatist regions Putin declared independent, tweeting, "I have signed an executive order to deny Russia the chance to profit from its blatant violations of international law. We are continuing to closely consult with allies and partners, including Ukraine, on next steps." But those sanctions, Todd and Carly, stop short of direct penalties on Russia. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki clarifying, saying, "To be clear, these measures in the executive order are separate from and would be in addition to the swift and severe economic measures we have been preparing in coordination with allies and partners should Russia further invade." Biden also holding calls with Ukraine's President Zelensky as well as French President Macron and German Chancellor Scholz. Now, they're vowing to continue coordinating a response. Meanwhile, GOP's ranking member on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Jim Risch, calling on Biden to take action right now, saying the U.S. and our allies must immediately implement harsh sanctions that Putin cannot ignore if this administration wishes to have a strong and decisive reaction that will deter even more aggressive behavior. They should follow our lead. The world is watching, so we will see what sanctions, additional sanctions come out of the White House. Meanwhile, Russia's response? Well, their UN ambassador is accusing the U.S. and the West of egging Ukraine towards war. Todd and Carly.
All right, Griff, thank you. Former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard warning of the impact that this has on America as the standoff rattles the markets. Listen.
You know who will pay the price? It is hard-working Americans all across our country. This energy and gas crisis, raising prices, we'll see those continue to go up. We'll see that squeeze happening across the country and around the world. Russia is a major exporter of wheat. We'll see those costs increased around food. Russia is also a major exporter of nickel, which is a major element of the electric vehicle industry. What they should be saying is not we are going to incur costs. They should be looking directly at the American people and saying, you know what, you are going to pay the price for this. And yet they have not once justified to the American people how their policies and their actions actually serve our our best interest.
Yeah, right. So in the lead up to this tension, the conversation was sort of like, okay, there's something going on in Eastern Europe. Putin's acting like a strong man. It's another day that ends in Y. Why should I care here at home? Well, a few days ago, the vice president let the other shoe drop and admitted that this situation in Russia and Ukraine could impact gas prices here at home, especially because over the past year, the U.S. has increased Russian oil and gas imports. They've doubled them. So not only are we in a situation where we're now energy dependent, we are also propping up Putin and Russia, the Russian economy, because of that as a result, which is why this tweet is going viral this morning that President Biden posted in 2020 did not age well. Vladimir Putin doesn't want me to be president. He doesn't want me to be our nominee. If you're wondering why, it's because I'm the only person in this field who's ever gone toe-to-toe with him. Doesn't look like he's going toe-to-toe very much
Yeah,
this
you
morning.
might want that one back, Joe. Putin did nothing like this during the Trump administration, but is doing it now. And remember, he did this something similar, although not to this extent, in Crimea during the Obama administration. I want to follow up on Tulsi Gabbard's comments for a moment. Yes, obviously the focus is intensely on gas, specifically energy in Europe, and then its impact on prices here in the U.S. But let us not forget, look at your 401k this morning, if you can. It's not a good look. Your 401k has not done well during the first month and a half of 2022, and that is not all due just to inflation. Because remember, when inflation happens, that actually increases some profits at some companies. This is due in large part to the threat of what we're seeing overseas and the impact that it could have. And that is why you should care, besides also the human rights atrocities. So let's take a step back. Why are we in this position in the first place? It's because Vladimir Putin responds to strength. The Biden administration shows passiveness. Trey Gowdy summarizes this pretty well. Take a listen.
When your enemies confess, you should believe them. And what he's saying is he wants to return to the Soviet Union, what he perceives as the glory days. So anything else he does is a pretext. We know what his motivation is. And I am dumbfounded. The only folks who have been sanctioned have been part of Ukraine. Ukraine has been sanctioned as of tonight, but not Russia. I need somebody to explain to me why we're not using sanctions to deter conduct that we don't want to happen.
That's the point, Carly. Why are we waiting until the